then my life got busy.
So it may not be fresh.
Yeah. I can go get my book though.
Well, I chose a verse, and then I realized I like both verses 11 and 12 better than any of the first 10 in that chapter. And then I had a little bit of a breakdown and spent the week with something out of chapter 6 instead. So
oh, well, that's wonderful.
I started the homework.
That's wonderful. You know, I was actually remembering yesterday.
Get my book.
And you're a teacher, right? So this is something that will resonate with you. How, you know, there's the approach of being very by the book, and there's the approach of actually connecting with the essence, right? The letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And I remembered one story that our Param Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, told of he was some, I think, like a great Indian scientist or something, and he may have gone on to win a Nobel Prize or something like that. And but when he was like a teenage boy at school, there was one exam that he had to sit, and he spent so long on one question that he didn't answer the rest of the questions on the paper. Right. But that one question he answered so perfectly, you know, because he went into so much detail and you know, deep consideration in answering that question, but he didn't answer any of the others. He didn't get time. And so, but then his professor afterwards, you know, he had a very broad mind, and you know, but technically he should have failed him, right? Because he didn't you know, fulfill the quota, tick all the boxes right for all the questions. But that professor had a very broad mind. He could recognize the genius in this boy, and so he gave him full marks. So, you know, this is actually like, and this may have been the connection that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was making. I don't recall right now, but you know, this is Paramahamsa Dharma. This is what it means, right? That we're always living in an essential mood. You know, the sar in Sanskrit, the word is sar. We're always connecting with the essence. You know, what is the sum and substance? Actually, there are these two phrases that we hear sometimes of different approaches to spiritual life: Bharavyahi and Saragrahi. Saragrahi means an essence drinker. And you'll hear sometimes this expression, Saragrahi Vaishnava, right? A Vaishnava, you know, who can take the essence out of everything. And Bharavyahi means a load carrier. You know, they're just carrying the heavy load of rules and regulations and technicalities, and it's just like a load on their back. It's nothing to do with the real essence of what this is all about. So you get full marks for me. Does anyone else want to share any homework? So Radhana Rupini, which verse did you choose?
I chose text 2, chapter 15. That's
okay.
And this Gita, I know I'm going through my spiritual master's Gita, but I've had this since I was 20 years old, and I'm 67. Wow. I'm going to be 67. Wow. So see all the
wow.
doggers.
Put close to Scarlett's markings on her book.
Yeah. And it was rebound, and I put a paper bag thing on it to keep it good. You know?
Wow.
But anyway,
to hear.
Yeah, and I have a picture of my initiation that I'm getting restored. Anyway, this
wow.
Do you want me to read the translation?
Yeah, read
of text
that you'd like, the verse, the translation.
Okay. So text 2, it says, the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses, and the tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of the human society. I mean, it's all there in a couple sentences.
Mhm.
You know, we're entangled.
Mhm. 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 Thank you, Radhana Rupini. A nice meditation. Anyone else? I know Dulal Prabhu, he did his homework. But he is busy working right now, so.
I took a 5. I could share my homework assignment. Verse 3 from chapter 15 and like a portion of 4, if I can cheat a little bit. Let's see.
Actually,
This
3 and
page real
4
quick.
are put together here. The trans
Perfect.
together. So you did that intuitively, huh?
Yeah, Jay. Okay, so it says in the human plane, this inverted form of the people tree of the material world is inconceivable without Vedic knowledge. Neither its beginning, nor its middle, nor its end can be perceived. So I kind of immediately appreciate that. I don't have to like figure anything out. And but really it's from the association of devotees one acquires the sharp axe of detachment from the mundane. And I really appreciate that because I had kind of grown up with so much idea of like, purushartha, self-effort, and tapasya, and just like that in this conception, it's just by being in the association of our dearest like friends and family and persons that are devoted to Krishna. I think that's so sweet as far as acquiring, what does it say, the weapon to cut down the illusory tree of one's mundane existence. And that it says, which is stubbornly rooted in aversion to the Supreme Lord. So it also brings us to the Lord. It also brings us to chant and to serve together. Is my idea, my very humble, like, I know maybe I don't get the vision so well, but I really resonate with this in the way of like before coming to lineage and like before meeting all my friends here, um, uh, there was something that I always felt like a spark in me that I always like really cherished and wanted to investigate and grow and understand and share, and the articulation wasn't clear and my influences were all wild. uh, but here, in this lineage and this conception, it's like it is articulated, and we all get to know that that's kind of where we're centered around or what we're offering to the Lord together, and we get to share that together, and it's just like that's that's our service, that's our freedom. um, I just think that's like so precious. So I really, really appreciate verses 3 and 4 in that way.
That was really beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that. And remember some of our friends in this group, they may not know some of the words that you use, like tapasya and something else. Maybe you just could give a little more context to what you were saying earlier. That was a really beautiful point. I just want to make sure it's clear to everyone.
Yeah, sure. I suppose, regulated austerity, just like the modes and the different techniques of trying to surrender, like just different rules and regulations, I suppose, that are to encourage detaching from the mundane world and then finding a way to attach to divinity. And that's kind of the idea of, or my feeling anyways, of when I just reference tapasya. And then purushartha is that self assertion, that self effort, and that for me, which is like you're trying to let go, and my ego, I can't detach my ego from that. And so yeah, just like that, it just seemed like I was going against a current all the time. And a lot of suffering, actually, and dryness.
Mm-hmm. And so you're saying you like this, you appreciate this contrast, like in this very like sweet and natural way through association with the Vaishnavas, we can overcome. So yeah, that's a beautiful point. Let's see, we have a message from Oh, Scarlett, we hope you feel better soon. Happy you can still join us. Do you feel like sharing anything by voice, Scarlett, or do you prefer not to speak today?
I'm so sorry. I can't even talk at the moment.
Okay, you've got
But
a
I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay, but I can't talk and I can't be with on camera.
okay. Okay.
Forgive me.
Totally
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
need to be sorry. Please don't be sorry. Take care of yourself. We're sending our best wishes. So for those of you who perhaps weren't here last week, we had a spontaneous homework assignment to pick a favorite verse from the first 10 verses of chapter 15 that we went through. So just so you all know what's going on. Anyone else want to share? They chose a verse from the chapter.
I chose one, but I didn't learn it by heart.
You didn't have to learn it by heart, but if you want to share anything. You actually shared about it last week, so maybe that's sufficient. Anyone else want to share anything? I think we have a few others have joined us. Ram Das has joined us. Raj has joined us. Dandavat. And I think perhaps you weren't here last week, so you didn't hear about the homework. Okay, well, if there's no one else, hey, Marie, we haven't heard from Marie. Oh, no, well, yeah, Marie told us, yeah. Okay. Okay, well, so I'll tell you, I actually have a personal story around this, that actually this homework came to me from Gurudev. And I don't have so many like clear dreams from Gurudev, like often something very vague, but I've had a few which were like crystal clear, and in one of them he chanted this verse to me, so this has been my homework for the last few years. It's the first verse of this chapter. And it's funny because I've never been able to learn this verse, and actually, like, out of those 10 verses, I know 2 of them by heart, but this first one which Gurudev chanted to me, I couldn't grasp it. But I just really sat down with it before a meeting, and I think something more is entering my heart. So this is the first chapter. I'll just go through it again. Urdvam, the first verse, 15th chapter for those who aren't with us. Urdvamulammadashakam ashratam bharavyayam chandam si yasya parnani yastam veda saveda vid. And it, like, what I felt in the dream that I had, from Gurudev, is he was like kind of like snapping his fingers, like, wake up, because this verse is just such a wake-up call, that this world it's upside down. Don't be deluded by the apparent charm, cover, and superficiality of things, but really, like, wake up and see things for what they really are. And it's just I mean, I'd love to see a painting, actually. It's such a vivid image, and it's just so clear, right, of a tree. That it's just such a helpful analogy, right, of a tree that's it's rooted in the highest plane, but it's growing away, right? So it has its source in the highest plane, ultimately the lotus feet of the Lord, but it's growing away, right? So it's growing in aversion to that highest plane. So it just makes everything very clear, right? That is the nature of this world. So that's my little share. Okay, well, it's been really good to hear from everyone. And we can continue with our reading unless anyone else wants to bring anything up. Okay, so then maybe
I had a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
What is the name of the Bhakti creeper? I forget it now. It's Lata or something. What is it?
Yeah, well, the word
The name of the devotional creeper?
Well, bhakti lata is how it's usually referred to. Yeah, a lata just means
Right. Okay. Right.
yeah.
Okay. Bhakti Lata. Right. Okay. Thank you.
And then we also hear bhakti lata bij, right? Bij is the seed. So the seed of the creeper of devotion. We also hear that.
Oh.
That may be.
Oh. Okay.
So at the time of initiation, or more significantly, like taking shelter of Guru, that's when that seed is planted. It's the seed of faith, the seed of devotion that's planted in the soil of our heart. So we are on chapter 15, and we've reached verse 11. But let's just hear our Gurudev chant the Sanskrit, and then we'll pause at 11, and we can go through those verses ourselves. So, okay, so I'm going to do a screen share now. Hang on now. 1 second. Just going to close these messaging apps so they don't get in the way. Okay, share screen. Share. I think this is where we want to be. Share sound. And okay, here we are. Okay, so we're going to hear actually, we're going to listen up to verse 20, and then we'll pick up at verse 11 to start the meeting.
Panchadashuddhaya Purushottama Yoga Sri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhamoolamādhassākham Asattam Prahurapayam Channāngsi Jasya Parnāni Jastam Veda Savedavi Adhushchodham Prasritastasya Shakha Punapraviddha Visaya Prabhala Adhascha Mūlāni Nanusam Santatani कर्मानुबंधीनि मनुष्य लोके न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नंतो न चादीर न च संग प्रतिष्ठा असक्तमेनं सुविरूढ़मूलम् असंग शस्त्रेण दृढ़ेन चित्ता ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चद्दं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये जतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसृता पुराणी निर्माण मोहाजित संग दोषा उद्धत्म नित्ता विनिवृत्त कामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुख दुःख संगैर्गच्छन्त मूढ़ा पदमव्ययं तत् न तद्भासयति सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनःषष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्कामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धा निवासयात् श्रोत्रं चक्षु स्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढा नानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषा जतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्नवस्थितं जतन्तोपकृतात्मानो नैवं पश्यन्त चेतसः यदादित्यगतं भो तेजो जगद्भासयतेऽखिलं यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्युत् विद्धि मामकं गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधि सर्वा सोम भूत्वा रसात्मकः अहं वैश्यानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापान समायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधं सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तस्मृतिज्ञानमपोहनञ्च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव विद्धो वेदान्तकृत वेदविधेव चाहम् दाविमो पुरुषो लोके खरश्चाखर एव च खरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थो खर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्तन्न परमात्मेत्युदाहृता जो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्तव्य ईश्वरः यस्मात् खरमतीतोऽहमक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथितः पुरुषोत्तमः जो मामेवमसङ्गमूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति उच्चतमं शास्त्रम् इदमुक्तं मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत इति श्रीमहाभारते शतसहस्रां संहितायां वैयासिकां भीष्मपर्वणि श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे पुरुषोत्तमयोगो नाम पंचदशोऽध्यायः.
Okay, so it is a very short chapter actually. So we've actually come to the end of the chapter. Now let me, all these Zoom tabs are in the way. Let me navigate here. Here we go. Okay, so let's chant verses 11 to 20 together. Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavishtitam yatanto hyakrittatatmano nainam pasyantya chetasa yadadityagatam tejo jagadvasaya tetinam yakchandramasi yakshagno tattejo vidimamakam gamavishya chabhutani tadayam yahamojasa Krishnami choshadi sarva somabuddhara satmakaha aham vaishvanaro buddha praninam dehamashitaha pranapana samayutta prachamyanam chaturvidam sarvasya cham vidhi sanivishto vatasnutirjnanam apohanancha vedaischa sarvarahameva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva chaham Vavimo Purusho Loke Shadaschakshada cha Shada Sarvani Bhutani Bhutashto Shada Uchate Uttama Purushashtanya Paramatme Kudaritaha Yolokachaya Mahishya Vibhartya Vyaya Ishvaraha Yasmad Chadamatitoham Akshadara Pichotamaha Atosmi loke viducha patita purushotamaha yo mameva masamudo janati purushotamam sa sarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata iti guyatamam shastram idam uttam maya naga etad budva budimam syat kritta krityascha bharata. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. Okay, well, someone want to read these translations? See, someone we haven't heard from. What about Roger? You feel like reading translations?
Sure. I'm just in like a noisy place, so if it's too noisy, let me know.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Actually, it is a bit noisy. Yeah, maybe it won't. Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, maybe we'll ask them to leave the rest of it. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe read from verse 10 because 11 is a little out of context.
Those who are thus deluded cannot. Oh, I did.
Oh, right, for the
Because I have
sound.
no,
Yeah.
sound on my phone.
Yeah.
Those who are thus deluded cannot see the soul when it is departing the body, residing in the body, or when enjoying through the senses in the body. Those with the eyes of wisdom can see. 11. And the sincere seekers see the soul present within. But persons of poor understanding and lacking in self-control cannot see the soul despite their endeavors. 12. The light of the sun that illuminates the entire universe, the light of the moon, and the radiance of fire, know that to be mine. Entering the earth, I maintain all beings by my potency, and in the form of the life-giving moon, I nourish the crops. 14. Entering into the bodies of the living beings, as the power of digestion, I digest the 4 types of eatables, chewed, sucked, licked, and drunk, through the agency of the ascending and descending vital airs. I'm situated as the supersoul within the heart of all souls, and from me arises the soul's remembrance, knowledge, and the forgetfulness according to his actions. I alone am the sweet absolute to be known through all the Vedas. I am the revealer of the Vedanta, Vedavyas, and I'm the knower of the Vedas. 16. In this world, there are 2 types of beings, the perishable and the imperishable. All beings from Lord Brahma down to the lowest stationary life forms are known as perishable, as they are fallen from their true nature. But those who are situated in their eternal spiritual nature are known as imperishable, eternal associates of the Lord. 17. But completely distinct from both these types of beings is the Supreme Person, who is known as Paramatma, the Super Soul. He is the Supreme Lord. Entering the 3 worlds in his eternal form, he maintains all beings in the universe. 18. Because I am transcendental to the perishable beings and also superior to my imperishable eternal associates, my glories are sung in the world and in the scriptures as Purushottam, the Supreme Person. 19. O Bharat, one who is free from delusion and knows me as the Supreme Person of eternal, all-conscious, ecstatic form, is the perfect knower of full-fledged theism, and he worships me in all ways, in the spiritual relationships of tranquility, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, and consorthood. 20. O pure-hearted Arjuna, I have thus explained to you this most hidden treasure of all the scriptures, O Bharat. Embracing this in their hearts, the persons of fine theistic intelligence attain the perfection of their endeavors.
Okay, very nice. You know, one thing that's kind of like hitting me as I'm going through these verses now is how, you know, Krishna, like most of the time in Bhagavad, of course, there are some sections where Krishna's just like kind of letting his hair down, speaking explicitly about bhakti, right? But most of the time it's a little hidden, you know, because Bhagavad Gita is meant to be catering to everyone, right? You know, Bhagavad Gita is for the yogis, right? For the jnanis, for the karmis, right? It's meant to be for persons who are still caught up in, you know, in different spheres, different entry points, right? For spiritual life, you know, so those who are still caught up in the world of worldly action, right? Those who are attracted to the line of renunciation, you know, what Dulal Guru is referencing earlier, there's, Brahman worship of the impersonal absolute Paramatma worship, the all penetrating tiny form of the Lord. Like Bhagavad Gita is like it's a ladder for everyone. And so when it comes to bhakti, there are a few places where he's explicitly stating, bhakti is supreme, but most of the time it's all a little hidden, right? A little cover. There's there's inference, but not direct. And so I'm seeing that in these verses here, right, where he's making some reference to bhakti, and you see how our line of Vaishnava teachers, gurus, they're drawing out like what Krishna's referring to, so like, for example, in this phrase sarva bhavena, in all ways, this is referring to these different types of personal relationships with the Lord in devotion. And and once you've kind of been given that key, that clue, then you see it everywhere. You've like our gurus have kind of like unlocked that layer of Bhagavad Gita, and then you just see that everywhere, and you see that this is actually what Krishna is speaking about, where he really wants to take things. Just like in the very first verse that we went through in this chapter, it's mentioned, right? It mentions how the leaves on this inverted tree, they represent the karma kanda section of the Vedas, which are, apparently they're catering to people who still have mundane desires, and they're giving them some bait, right? We can think of this section of the scriptures as like bait for people who are still attracted to various temptations of this world, right? So, do this worship and you can get this result, right? And so these leaves on the tree, they're beautifying this worldly tree, and they're making it beautiful. And they're engaging with this like false layer. But then the verse is ending, this yastam veda saveda bit, like one who like actually knows what this tree is about. They know the true verses, the true purpose of the Vedas, right? So like on one level, these sections of the scriptures, they're deluding and tricking people, but from a broader perspective, it's all part of a bigger plan, right? To gradually bring them to this conclusion of devotion, right? It's like, first you give the boy some candy, to get him to take his medicine. And then he can gradually come to some higher understanding. So it is like that, so once we have that broader view of the various instructions in the Vedas, then we'll see everywhere, they're all going to the same conclusion. They all want to bring us the lotus feet of Krishna and Krishna Bhakti. Right. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, can make bold statements like he does in one of his songs that, everybody knows, all the Vedas declare that Krishna is the property of Radharani and her girlfriends. Sarva Veda Bola. This is in one song about him. He's saying all the Vedas are declaring this, and it's like, well, if we go with an untrained eye, we may not see that. But anyhow, coming back to Bhagavad Gita, like once that clue and that angle of bhakti has been given to us, then it's like a whole layer, a door is open for us, and we'll see that clearly everywhere. This is where Krishna actually wants to take us. So does anyone want to bring up anything that's specifically mentioned in these verses we just went through? I will perhaps just point out in particular one of these verses, which is it's one that's more well known and quoted fairly often by our gurus. This verse 15 of chapter 15. Sarvasva chaham hri sanivishto matasmi jnana mato. It's very nice. I love this the way it's phrased, and it's very like concise in the Sanskrit, and the English perhaps doesn't come off so well. But yeah, so this point is being made, right? That, and you can see how it's something that's relevant, right? You know, Krishna stating like, I'm in everybody's heart, right? I'm present in everyone's heart, you know, and I'm ultimately, you know, behind everything, and I even, you know, I have control over the consciousness. So even the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, you know, we can't have that ego of, you know, I know, I remember, whatever, but it's all coming by his power, by his grace, you know, remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. That's all going according to the Lord's will, actually. And then in this Vedaischa sarvam eva vedyo vedanta krid veda vid eva chaham. So he's saying like, I am the real purpose of the Veda. So this is again this is actually tying in really nicely to the point which I just made. Wow, look at that. You know, Krishna is just stating here, like, I am the real purpose of the Veda. I am what is Vedyo. I am what is to be known. Right, I alone is here more clear in the word for I alone am the object to be known by the Veda. Right, and Vedanta Krid, I made the Veda, right? I'm the cause of the Veda, Veda Vid, and I know the meaning of the Veda also. So I'm the purpose of the Veda. I made the Veda, and I know the meaning of the Veda. I'm the revealer of the Veda. So it's very nice, it's very clear. Well, maybe we can go to Marie, because Marie mentioned that she was looking at verses 11 and 12, I think, that she appreciated these verses. You want to share something about those, Marie? And welcome to those of you who joined. I see Narayan who's joined us.
Let me look back at them. Well, 11 was, I just like the way it's basically saying the same thing as 10, but I liked the way it said it better because it I just think that 10 probably would be more easily understood today, or at least by the people that I tend to work with a little more clarification that like with a but those with the eyes of wisdom can see. I think something about just putting a period and going straight in there makes it pulls up cognitive dissonance, and there's more pushback against understanding it, and 11 has that, and it also starts with the positive, that the sincere seekers see the soul, and I also like that it, like those with the eyes of wisdom, who's going to claim, who is really wise that will also claim they have the eyes of wisdom? Like pretty much if someone says they're wise, that's how you know that they aren't, because they don't know enough. You know, they don't understand enough to really be wise. But it's more, it seems more attainable to be a sincere seeker, and so that's like a goal that one can actually like shoot for. And then it's specific about poor understanding and lack of self-control. And it's interesting because for me, those two are linked. If I don't understand the purpose of something, I literally, in some cases, cannot do it. Like I got to a part with math where I couldn't understand how you got to the shortcut algorithm that you were supposed to use to make the calculation from this big relationship of all of these numbers. And so then I couldn't use that shortcut. I had to work it out the long way. So it's interesting to me that they put poor understanding and lack of self-control together, because the ability to control oneself is a matter of understanding. Like, you have to know what you're likely to do, how you're likely to react, and what your other options are in order to have self-control. So I don't, those are just some random thoughts with it. Like I said, I didn't really get a chance to sit with it like I wanted to, because I ended up sitting with some other stuff. So, but I think those were some of the things that I saw in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice. Some really nice points there, Marie. Yes. Very nice. Anyone else want to share anything on these verses?
Can I say something, Didi?
Please.
So, can I read the translation of text 12 from my Gita?
Please, of course.
Okay, it says, the translation goes like this. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. And I find that verses like this from the Bhagavad Gita really helps the conditioned soul like we are to remember Krishna on a daily basis. Being Krishna conscious means just the word being Krishna conscious. There's one verse in the Gita that goes, those who see me in all things and all things in me are never lost to me, nor am I ever lost to them. And I think verses like this one help us with that on our daily life, because that's what our goal is to always be conscious of Krishna in everything we do. So when I read this, now when I look at the sun, or I feel the sun, or the moon, then I will remember Krishna. And that's our goal. It's simple, just to remember Krishna. And so that's just a thought I had, just to make it simple.
Very nice.
It is a good thought you had.
Very nice. Any other good thoughts from our group here? And welcome to Ramananda Prabhu, who's also joined us.
That was Vishaka Didi. That was everybody. Sorry, joining late.
Oh, happy to have you anytime, Prabhu.
I would like to add something or say something.
Yes, please, Prabhu.
Because Param Guru Maharaj says, because everything is personal. But we are so tiny, so we can't conceive a supreme person as a God, as a supreme person. So that's why we focus more on Guru and Krishna, more Guru. We sing song, nice bhajans. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Ete Koriya Kya. So they help us. We go through parampara. Well, otherwise, Krishna is far like a sun. Guru might give example also. Krishna is like a sun, but we cannot see that far. So we need some good mediums. So through that medium, we can connect. We can see. That's my humble thought.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice.
You are.
Well, we still have 10 minutes, so we could perhaps go over to the next chapter. Do you have any thoughts you want to share, Bengali?
Some of it stirred me earlier, now people
Okay.
Vishaka?
Yes. Who's
I'm Krishna Anjali.
Oh, Krishna and Johnny. Oh, very nice to have you. Normally so quiet. It's great to hear you.
I thank you to all of the devotees here for their perfect understanding. I'm lacking so much, but I have been thinking about something for a long time, which has nothing to do with bhakti, but still I want to share it and ask your vision or opinion on this. I heard or I read somewhere that a piano player, a world famous player, had an interview, and there he said, the journalist asked him, how can you play so perfectly? And he said, after a while, I don't play, the soul plays. So soul has a very wide medium where he acts. I mean, I have to hear from you about this. The soul plays. So when we eliminate I, me, and mine, who is chanting the Maha Mantra? The soul is chanting. Is it so, or am I just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would say in our current condition, right, there's a lot going on, right? There's because we're dealing with all these layers. So I would say that, you know, there's this kind of synergy or coordinated movement that's taking place, if that's the right language, where, you know, we're engaged, we're using our senses, because that's what we have right now. We can't get away from that, right? So we're engaging our senses, but when we're doing that with faith, then that's going to be activating the soul, right? And that, you know, there will be, you know, as the layers are clearing more and more, and as the soul is wakening up more and more, there will be more and more coming from the impulse of the soul, right? But in the beginning, you know, it's like there are all these very crusted layers, and, you know, it may be coming more from our mental system, right? But if we've received that, this is the first thing, that we receive that name from the pure devotee, right? Srila Sridhar Maharaj would always quote this one line, Vaikuntha Nama Grahanam, that that name that we are taking, it must have its source in Vaikuntha, in the spiritual world. So when we receive the name from the pure devotee, that's a pure vibration. That's a spiritual, divine vibration, which has nothing to do with our brain, our mental system, our senses. That's entering our consciousness. It's entering our heart, entering the plane of our consciousness. But because at the moment we're identifying, maybe I'll stop this screen share right now. You know, at the moment, because we're identifying so much with these layers, that divine name, it doesn't really have any space, right? It's a contaminated environment, right? And our consciousness is not totally receptive and clear, you know, for that holy name to dance as it would like to dance. So we have this song of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's the last song of Sharanagati, the songbook Sharanagati, Nam Mahatmya. I'm sure you know that song. And in that song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing this process, and our Gurudev, he's elaborated on that. And so this song is describing, like, first that pure name enters our ear, coming from the pure devotee. Then it comes to the plane of our heart, and then as our Gurudev expressed it, you know, it will remain there in a sleeping state, in a dormant state for some time, because the environment's not favorable yet. So like that seed, it's like you know, I've heard about archaeologists uncovering seeds that have remained dormant for hundreds of years, right? Because the environment, the fertile soil wasn't there. But as soon as it's placed in the favorable environment, it can still sprout, right? It's pretty phenomenal. So in the same way, like that like potent seed has entered the sphere of our consciousness, but because the soil is not fertile, it's not sprouting, right? But as we're continuing with the practices with faith, right, and continuing under the guidance of Guru and Vaishnava, then some purification starts to take place. And eventually, when there's enough clearing that's taken place, then that name, as our Gurudev said it very nicely, the name will feel, oh, this is my dancing stage. and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this song, there's a very nice line. Hridaya hoite bole. Is it Hridaya hoite bole? Jiva agrete chole shabda rupe nache anukan. And he describes here how that name will forcefully come from the heart to the tongue. That pure name will come forcefully by its own will from the heart to the tongue, not the other way around. Not that we are going to create some pure vibration with our tongue, with our mundane tongue, not like that. But the name will come and dominate over our senses and express itself through our senses. So then, Shabda Rupe Nache Anukan, then that name will dance very happily on the tongue. And that name will cause us to vibrate the name, not that we're causing the name to vibrate, right? So it is, you know, something like that, you know. And, you know, a lot of patience is required. So in the, you know, in the beginning, it's by our sukriti, by our good fortune, that we can have some faith in the Vaishnava, some faith in the name, and we begin the process. But in the beginning, it more likely than not will be a little mechanical, because we're still operating very much in the plane of the mind and the senses, right? But because we're actually engaging in a seva, we're engaging in a service to Guru, to the name. We're not chanting the pure name, but we're serving the pure name, we can say, or trying to serve the pure name. And that has this cleansing, this purifying effect. And then when that purity comes, then the pure name will feel, oh, now I can reveal myself. So it's a curious thing in some ways, because we can't chant the name right now, actually. But by our trying to chant, we'll become qualified to chant. That name, the real name, we can't chant the real name right now. But by our sincere attempt to call out to the real name, then that name will be merciful upon us. And the grace of Guru is there in the background, activating and making everything possible. So, something like that.
Thank you so much. Helpful. Thank you so much.
And no, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he has this very nice phrase, one place where he speaks of the soul's body, right? Just like now we feel our gross physical body, like as we make spiritual progress, we'll begin to feel the tangible nature of the soul also. The soul has its own tangibility, if that's a word. But that will become more and more apparent and undeniable, just as we can feel in a very firm way our gross physical body, you know, by the process of surrender, you know, sharanagati, service, dedication. That soul's body will become more and more manifest and apparent. And although now, you know, like I like one thing our Gurudev used to say fairly often, we start our business with whatever we have. So he said, if I have $5, I'll start my business with $5. If I have $10, I'll start my business with $10, right? So in the same way, we don't have much capital right now. We only have the senses. So we're going to use them. That's how we're starting. And gradually, because of our sincerity and because of the genuine link that we have with divinity through Guru and Vaishnava, then that will transform. What was mundane, what was coming from the plane of the senses, it will start to come from a deeper plane, right? It will start to come from a deeper plane. So in the beginning, that vibration's coming from the superficial plane, but as those layers are becoming cleared, it will start to come from a deeper plane. And that's what we experience in higher association. You know, what we saw with our Gurudev, his chanting, you know, his talking, his kirtan, his speaking, it had a heaviness to it. It was coming from a deeper plane. It wasn't something superficial or just on the mental plane. But, you know, that's why we hear sometimes the talks of our gurus and they just floor us because we feel the profundity. It's not coming from their mind. It's not coming from their senses. It's coming from a heavy, deep, profound place, from the soul and beyond soul even. What they're vibrating, it's beyond just the plane of soul. Like they're channeling from a much higher plane even than the soul. So we feel that heaviness that captures us. We feel that. So in conclusion, and that may be something we feel sometimes too. We may feel that touch sometimes of something deeper within us. We may experience sometimes that our chanting is, oh, I'm chanting japa and I'm also, you know, doing this chore and that chore and this and that, and right? That this word lagu is used sometimes. It means light, like the plane of the mind and senses. It's like on this light, superficial plane, and everything's capturing us. You know? Oh, everything's just on the same platform, right? Oh, I'm going for a walk in the sun. I'm chanting my japa, enjoying the breeze, right? All these, it's all just happening on the same plane. Right? Go for a nice japa walk. You know, it can just be like we're having a pleasant sattva gun experience, right? Let's be real, right? I'm guilty. But then there will be other moments when it's like, oh, wow. Like, actually, I don't even feel like I can move right now. That may rarely come to us. The pure name will actually like paralyze us. We can't move. You know, and Rupa Goswami mentions this in one of his beautiful verses, right? That Tunde Tandaviniratim, he's describing how that holy name like captures his heart, paralyzes all of his senses, right? That's the effect of coming in contact with the real name. You know, not like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, how are you doing? Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Oh, I need to stop at the shop, you know, like most of the time our chanting or my chanting is like that. It's all just on the mental plane, right? But every now and again we may feel, oh, I'm frozen right now. I can't talk about anything else. I can't move. I'm just here. That's the nature of the soul plane. It's heavy. It's a more stable plane. That's one way Srila Sridhar Maharaj explains it. You know, if we move like through the layers, like the senses, the minds, the intellect, the ego, and then soul, this is one way in which you can distinguish them. They're from more flickering nature and a more heavy, stable nature. It's like if you compare the senses with the mind is a little more stable. If you compare the mind with the intellect is more stable than the mind. Then the ego is more firm, right? But then the soul, that is the most heavy, most stable, the most capturing. It's like our Gurudev, he mentioned once, you know, somebody mentioned, one of his servitors mentioned, oh, Gurudev, maybe you changed your mind about that. And our Gurudev, about some situation, our Gurudev said, I never changed my mind. You know, we always go through, oh, I changed my mind. Like, I never changed my mind. He was always living in this heavy place of deep awareness, right? That's coming from the soul. So so yes, now we're starting on the superficial plane because that's all we have. But by faith, by surrender, we'll come to a deeper plane. Our chanting will start to come from a deeper plane. So very nice, nice topic that you brought up, Vishnandrani. And I see, and thank you for your nice comments in the chat. And I see that Sue Davies just joined us from Australia, and I feel terrible because we're about to end the meeting. And it must be like 4 a.m. for her over there. But we're happy to see you, Sue Davies. Glad you could join for a few moments. Okay, well, any final words from anyone? Because there, Radhana Rupini, please.
Didi, what you were saying also a little bit reminded me of, that's why it's so wonderful to be in Kirtan, because so many Vaishnavas, and there's definitely some Vaishnavas that are way more advanced than us, and the vibration of the chanting, everybody feels it, and which reminds me of in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the Srivas Angam and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Srivas Angam. It's beautiful. So yeah, it's nice to be in the association.
Yeah, very nice point, Radhana. Nice point. And yes, and that's also the outcome of some divine grace, some sukriti, that we'll be able to make that type of distinction, right? In the beginning, we may not be able to make that type of distinction, but as our level of discernment develops, it's like kirtan won't just be about a musical show or performance, right? But you'll detect, oh, there's some deeper vibration, that's coming, from this person or this group, something more profound and heart, soul capturing, soul awakening, right? May not necessarily be the best musical expression or the greatest rhythm or whatever, but you can feel that difference in the purity and profundity of the vibration. So that's a nice point. Okay, well, we have a really lovely group here today. Maybe we'll stop there. And any last words from anyone?
I would like to say something, Vishaka Didi.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I was listening Gurudev. He said he always stress more that we have to avoid 10 offenses. We have to avoid Vaishnava Aparad. He said that's why we're not getting a result, because of offenses. So we have to try to avoid offenses. I was listening to some Gurudev lecture, was very nice. He said, why we are not getting the result? Because of, he said, Vaishnava Aparad. We have to avoid those 10 offenses. Especially first one, the Vaishnava Ninda. Yeah. When Guru Maharaj explained that. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was beautiful class. Everything very nice. Thank you so much. Very kind.
And that's a very nice point that you made. You reminded me of one talk of our Gurudev where he expressed this in a very kind of like capturing way, where he said, because we can have this tendency, we hear about, oh, like all these wonderful things are going to happen one day, and we think it's going to be like a fairy tale. It's very remote and far away. But our Gurudev said, like we should actually ask ourselves in a serious way, why am I not getting the results? Not like, oh, it's going to be 10 million lifetimes, but let's really sincerely ask ourselves, why am I not getting that result? Are the scriptures lying to us? Are our gurus trying to cheat us? But no, we know that there's something real here. So why am I not getting? Let me like earnestly, like a sincere, earnest student, look within myself. Why am I not getting that? And so yes, then this is an important point, right? That we know there are these obstacles, which will stand in the way of our being able to chant the pure name. The most important of which is the mood of criticism and envy towards the Vaishnavas, the saints. They will cloud our mind, because the devotees are so dear to the Lord, right? And so if we are not in a culture of appreciation for them, and rather criticizing them through some empiric analysis, then the Lord will not be pleased to reveal himself, right, in the form of his name or any other way. So yes, it's an important reminder. And yeah, we should have that feeling, actually, like this is real, like this has been given to me. It's not, I don't need to wait till tomorrow. I don't need to wait 10 million lifetimes. Okay, realistically speaking, it probably will be, but but let's really put in the effort in a sincere way. Okay, Ramanand, who's raised his hand, we'll have one last share and then maybe we'll close for today.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, you share nicely. I heard actually Srila Gurudev's lecture that recently. So it kind of shook me up, woke me up.
Yeah,
Gurudev telling why we are not getting the result, because we have everything. So why are we not getting the result? Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Oh my goodness, people are still joining. Now I feel like we can't end the meeting. Now Chintamani just joins. Chintamani! How did you know? How did you know we were still going?
I just figured you'd give it a try. I'm on my way to Malibu. I was working with the client. Got her Sprinter loaded up with art surfboards, and I was just hoping you guys would be still meeting. So if you guys want to keep meeting, just keep on going. Hare Krishna, y'all. Ramdas is driving too. Not a Zoom call. I'll quote Vishaka Didi. It's not a proper Zoom call unless someone's driving in their car.
And painting.
Painting and eating.
And we have also little Sue Devi eating her breakfast or lunch. So we've got all sorts going on. I love it.
I've been liking to watch Lula painting, calm me down, because it was like a really stirring topic.
Okay, well, we have I think we've more or less come to the end. But now Chintamani's just joined.
Didi, are there going to be classes next week? Because I know everybody will be at the Govinda meeting.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best. They don't have a schedule finalized yet, so I know they'll probably want me to do some specific classes there. But I'll hopefully we can still do the Zoom meetings. I think it should be possible.
Because
So, yeah,
I'll be in Portland at that time.
you'll be in Portland.
And will your classes be at the Mele? Will your classes be online?
Well, these
from the
last
Mele?
years, Murali Moham Prabhu, or also known as Maitreya, he's been running the media side of things, and they've been live streaming to the
Okay.
Facebook page. So I assume.
So at least I can be there virtually.
Yeah, we'll be missing you, Didi. And we'll be missing you, Sue Devi. Hello. Okay, well, maybe we'll close for today. It's been a really, really wonderful lively meeting. Thank you all so much for the input and comments, questions. It was really, really wonderful.
Thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Scarlett, for being with us. Special thanks to Sue Devi tuning in at, I don't know, 3-4 a.m. right now in Australia. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. All these
Jai.
dear seekers ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Jai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Vishaka Didi ki Jai.
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 Sue Devi, can you say Hari Bol?
Devi, the Hari Bol.
Beautiful. Okay, see you all next time.
Thank you for your association.
Thank you all so much.